Welcome everybody. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Additions to the agenda tonight, we need to sign the annual mileage certificate stating how many miles of road we have here in the lovely town of Vernon, and also add the discussion about the solid waste article, so we can make those 5 and 6 under new business, I guess. Moving and seconded to add mileage certificate and solid waste article. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? And I'm going to ask that we move 2 things in the agenda. The executive session, I'd like to be the first thing that we do after we're done here, and then the salvage yard permit directly thereafter, since John's already here waiting for us, so we don't have to make him wait till the end of the meeting. I don't have any remarks. Open public comments on agenda items only, please. Yes, ma'am.
I noticed on...
Can you state your name, please?
Oh, I'm Vernon Selectboard, former member of the Fiber Optics Subcommittee of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, and I noticed that you have communications union districts on the agenda, and that was something that we looked into. So I was hoping Munson would be here, Munson Hicks would be here, because he was the driving force in that subcommittee. I have our final report, and if you have any questions, I would like to be able to answer them if I can and help,
During the discussion, we very may well pull you up here.
Oh dear.
If that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, great. All right, we don't have any guests.
Actually, I have some open public remarks based
Sure.
on some old business.
Okay, is it on the agenda for this evening?
It's not on the agenda, but it's under old business. So I was going to address the executive session.
Okay. You can't speak in anything about the executive session, you realize that, right? That's why it's called an executive session?
Correct.
Okay.
So there's just a few things. So I was told that the executive session that we went into on December 17th, maybe all shouldn't have been in the executive session, that some of it should have just been in the regular session.
Sure.
So with that said, I would like to address
I'm curious who told you that.
Martin Langeveld referenced it. So
Is he a lawyer or
He's
anything
not.
like that? Okay,
No.
thank you.
You're welcome. So is it okay if I publicly speak, or are you going to chastise me?
I'm asking you questions to find out the validity of a person that said that we did something incorrectly.
Gotcha. So I just thought that this was government for the people, by the people. So I would like to speak and be heard about the last agenda meeting of which I spoke on December 17th. Is that possible to address that session, which is also listed under old business, which is on the agenda, and it seems like it's allowable under the public remarks agenda items only?
It is not allowable to speak about anything regarding an executive session.
Gotcha. Even if I speak in hypotheticals?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So, so I do think that, can you tell me exactly then what in executive session of the last time that we spoke, because it's not all executive session information. So what information in that session can be brought forward? So, for example...
Again, you're talking about things that happen in executive session, and we cannot discuss that.
But you actually can discuss certain elements of the executive session, because it actually shouldn't have all been in executive session.
And you have your documentation that you are more than welcome to make public.
Gotcha.
Thank you. You're done.
So when will I be able to ask questions, just holding the select board accountable from some budgetary issues that I brought up in executive session in the December meeting?
You can get your town meeting. There's your
Okay,
answer.
so I can't come again to another select board meeting to have these issues addressed? Is that what you're saying? because we have quite a few more select board meetings before town meeting, that I would like to follow up with some of the issues that I presented before and see if there's been follow-up on timesheets, on spending for
Again,
hotels.
you're talking about stuff in executive session, and if you don't stop, I will end this meeting completely for the rest of the night. We will adjourn.
When can I come back to have the meeting, those issues addressed?
You can address your issues anytime, but not at this meeting and not regarding executive session.
Okay, so
If you would like-
when can I come back, even if it's executive session, to address the issues that I brought up at the last meeting? Tell me, because I would like to be on the agenda for that meeting.
You can't be on the agenda. The
Okay.
general public can't be on the agenda.
Okay, so how would I be on the agenda to speak, to ask for follow-up
You
from the
can-
last time I was here?
You can do that during non-agenda items, or you
Okay.
can do it during agenda items, but you
Okay.
cannot speak regarding the executive session.
Okay, so non-agenda items, let's see. Oops, I'm on the wrong agenda. Okay. So non-agenda items is where, let's just see here.
It's,
So you're gonna go to executive right after this, correct? And then you're gonna see Johnny McKay and his issue, and then where will I be able to speak?
Where it says public participation, non-agenda items only.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so that's where I'm gonna speak today.
Sure, as
Okay.
long as it's not regarding the executive session that was held at the last
Okay,
meeting.
and if it is, then we can go to executive session again, correct?
Sure.
So that the select board can be held accountable and I can ask questions related to our last meeting.
Whatever you'd like to do.
Thank you very much.
Who gives a shit?
I'm sorry, did you just call me a piece of shit under your breath?
No, I did not do that.
No.
Excuse me.
No, he didn't say that. He might have said the last word, but he didn't call you that.
Okay, because I definitely did hear that, but I'm hoping that it would just stay civil. Thank you.
Department and committee reports. Don't have any approval of meeting minutes, regular meeting and budget meeting.
I have a correction on the December 17th regular meeting. Page 2. Yeah, you got it. Under guests, when the auditors were speaking, the second to last line there, it says town clerk and it should be treasurer.
So I get
So I move that we accept the regular meeting minutes of December 17th as corrected.
Second.
I'm sorry, do we need to make any changes to the motion that was made to enter executive session on that time based on the information that came out? The question that was asked yesterday, I'm just curious if that needs to stay the same.
You can't change what was said, right?
No, you
I
can't
did-
change
I did
what's.
say that.
Okay.
Yeah. I know what you mean, but
Okay.
the minutes are what was actually said, right? Okay, so where are we at with this?
He's got it all from,
Did we just do the regular because we had corrections?
Just the regular as
Okay.
corrected.
Moved and seconded to accept the regular meeting minutes as corrected. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Fine.
Aye.
And those opposed?
And I move that we accept the special budget meeting minutes of December 18th as written. I don't have anything.
second.
Did you second that?
I did.
Okay. Moved and seconded to accept the the budget meeting minutes from December 18th. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Bills and warrants, please.
I move that we approve payment of the following warrant. 14T accounts payable, $39,588.79. 50S payroll, $8,630.45. 51S payroll, $8,780.97. And 52S payroll, $8,159.09.
Second?
Moved and seconded to accept the bills and warrants as read. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. We are going into our executive session for an employee-related issue.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
move that we go into executive session with who?
Just the town
With the
administrator.
town administrator on appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee. 1 VSA 3133A3.
Second.
Moved and seconded to go into executive session on employee-related issue. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? We are in executive session
6:41.
at 6:41. Okay. We went in at an executive session at 6:41 PM, out at 7:23 PM. No action was taken.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move that we accept with regrets the resignation of Michelle Pong as town administrator and thank her for all her accomplishments on behalf of the town of Vernon.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the resignation of our town administrator. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Salvage yard permit. Come on up, mister.
Chris, nice to meet you.
How you doing, Ken?
Hi to the
How you doing,
chairs
John?
now. There's extra chairs.
So we got all your paperwork. We got your money. Now it's,
I don't know if you guys had any questions. I printed up some pictures of stuff I do. A lot of people don't understand what I do.
Sure.
Again, I didn't think to print out the 7 different ones, but I should have printed up 7 of them, that's what we would have been.
no, you're right.
But what I usually do is I'll buy probably 2015 and newer vehicles from insurance companies. Mostly pickup trucks and cargo vans. And then I usually, if someone wants to buy one damaged, great. I don't have to do anything. If someone wants, have it done, I usually find someone that can do the body work, but I don't do body work. And then most of them have low miles and then I sell them. I've been doing it for 40 years. I saw those trucks pulling in, I probably fixed every one of them. Not those particular ones, but ones just like it.
I think it's pretty much the same thing Larry should be, same type of thing, just little model salvage, so.
That the guy that does the Subarus?
Yeah.
Okay. I tell people what I do all the time, and they just don't get it. I took my preacher to an auction one time, he couldn't understand what I do for a living. And he said, well, how do you know they run? It's got 6,000 miles on it, and no one pushed it down the hill. I'm gonna have it run to get hit.
So refresh me, who owns the land or, and you're like on a lease type
Yeah.
of thing to do this?
Yeah, if
Is
things
that
work
right?
out well, I'd like to buy it.
eventually buy it.
Put a home on it.
Yeah. Can we put this, can we keep these?
Yeah, you can keep it.
Okay.
Sorry about, like I said, I never thought of making 7 copies.
You can see where they all end up anyway or something.
So just for the select board, the process is that you would sign the certificate approving the location. Usually that's because of zoning laws in certain towns, so you'd have, and most times you have to go to a zoning board to make sure that the area is zoned for salvage yard. So after that approval, it still goes to the state for the Act 250 information. So that, but they can't start that process until this is signed.
Correct.
That's-
I've talked to Vincent from the state,
Mhm.
and he's on board.
Okay, so we need to determine a number of years that we approve this for, is that correct?
Yep. Up to 5, I think it is.
And then we need to sign it. Being that there's no zoning laws in Vernon, I would entertain a motion for a length of time and an approval. Don't everybody jump at once.
I'll make a motion that we approve the salvage yard permit for, I just don't know how many years. For 3 years? Can I revisit it?
Yeah, 5 probably would be.
For 5 years.
What is Larry Shippey operating on right now?
You know what Larry's is?
He, I don't know what Larry's is.
This is not a perpetual renewal though, as far as I'm aware.
I think
But
he does come back.
could have just not been in front of me yet on my time on the select board too, as far as I know.
I think he's the only other one.
Yeah, I'm
in
just
Vernon.
trying to keep it fair, that was all.
Right.
Well, I've been on for 3 or 4 years, so my guess is that
This
his
should
is
be 5.
probably the max of 5. Would be my guess is what he receives as well.
So what you're saying, we have to come back in 5 years, Josh?
Yeah, that's not our, that's a max that we can do.
So John, you'll be gone by then.
I'll be gone, yeah.
And I'm 60, I only need 1 renewal.
But is there any reason why it wouldn't renew, is what I'm saying, Josh?
What's that?
Is there any reason why it wouldn't renew as long as it was in fine standing?
I can't speak for a select board 5 years from now, but as long as there's no zoning, there would be no grounds to not renew.
So if for some reason you're going to get zoning and decide that they don't want a salvage yard, they could,
Absolutely, you could deny your license in 5 years, absolutely. If there becomes zoning laws in Vernon, sure. That's a possibility.
That's horrible.
hmm?
That's horrible.
Well, it is, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know if you want to do it, that's all. Yeah, I talked to Shippey, I thought his was a ongoing thing. He didn't mention 5 years, but if you think it's 5 years, is all Shippey got too?
That would be my assumption. I don't
Yeah.
know the answer, 100% of what Mr. Shippey has, but
Yeah.
I don't remember.
But if there's no zoning at that time, there wouldn't be an issue?
correct. And in 5 years, I really don't foresee there being zoning in Vernon.
No, I don't
doubt it.
No, it hasn't been for how many years?
I think enough people would fight it, then it would take long enough for it to go through the state that even if it did end up winning at some point, that you are not looking at 5 years down the
He'll be
road.
dead by then, right, yeah.
Yeah,
That's all it
me
matters.
too, probably.
Well,
So-
that's what we have to know. If it's after us, it doesn't matter.
I won't be doing it when I'm John's age, that's for sure.
So, no, that's not so bad. I don't think it was gonna change either, but I don't wanna see you building dream and have it go away either, so that's up to you.
So it really doesn't matter what we do here tonight. I mean, the state's still got to approve it. You're getting the first step of, everything through us. So from here, it goes to the state, and what they do with you is what they do with you, so.
Yeah.
So would you accept Jeff's friendly amendment
did.
to your motion of 5 years?
Mhm.
Okay, can I get a second on that motion, please?
So,
Thank you.
So moved and seconded to grant the permit for the salvage yard for 5 years. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, you are all set.
Sign at the bottom.
Signature lines are on the bottom, those 6 lines.
No, super friendly. Oh, they'll call and contact Vincent, or should I?
Okay. I think it's a shame that we can't release the yard.
Okay, you guys are all set?
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good luck. If you get t-shirts and hats, make sure you get them out around Vernon. Advertise it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we need to accept the resignations from the Solid Waste Committee of Michael Root, Joshua Unruh, and Christopher Parker.
is there anything left on the committee?
There is no voting members left on the Solid Waste Committee. Bob is the lone standing member, but he is not a voting member due to his status at Wyndham Solid Waste.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the resignations of Michael Root, Josh Unruh, and Chris Parker from the Solid Waste Committee. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. So, speaking of solid waste and recycling bids. Do you want to come join us, Bob? Looks like you put some work into this, my friend, and I appreciate it.
happening? Unless you are.
I'll give you
Beginning, it's
Bob, I
contagious.
did get these from Peter.
Oh, you did?
Yes,
Good,
I did.
thank you.
So, does everybody have the 2 spreadsheets, and the contract we're just gonna put aside for now, but the big thing, I think, is these 2.
So, Bob,
Which two?
Yeah.
you are the trash man, and you are also took a lot of time to do these spreadsheets. Please run it through us to help us understand it.
Sure. Well, we started this through the Solid Waste Committee to look at what the town was currently paying for all the solid waste. Our pay-as-you-throw program under the statute, Act 148, it has to cover the bag price, the cost of collection and disposal, but not necessarily recycling. So we had never really just looked at what the cost of, I know Cindy had done some analysis, so my role was not to evaluate the pay-as-you-throw numbers. It was to help Michelle do a request for proposals for a contract. But I thought it would be useful to see what we spent And I started this back in the summer, and I didn't have all of 2019, so I had used 2018. And so the one spreadsheet, it just says Town of Vernon curbside trash recycling cost and recycle rate, January 2018 to December 2018. And that was based on going through the invoices. And you get two different invoices, one from Triple T Trucking Corp., which is for the collection of recycling and collection of trash. Then they have a sister company called Brattleboro Salvage, which is where the trash is tipped at their floor up there at their transfer station. And they charge for recycling, single stream, and trash. So I went through all the invoices for a year and broke out and showed what the charges were based on actual invoices. And you can see it cost about $126,000 total in 2018. 2019 will be higher because they did raise their prices on recycling. So the Solid Waste Committee had said, you know, we don't have a contract with Triple T, and it might be good to lock in a contract so that we know for 3 or 5 years what our costs will be if we're going to continue this curbside program. So we drafted a request for proposals. Michelle sent it to 6 or 7 companies.
I think it was like 12.
12? All right, a lot.
Oh,
And
everybody.
lo and behold, we got one bid for everything from Triple T. We also got a bid from Good Enough for just the compost dumpsters at the highway garage and the municipal building trash and recycling. So what I did is I just took the next spreadsheet, says estimated cost for curbside trash by Triple T starting in July 2020. I took the tonnages that we used in 2018 and plugged in the new bid numbers. And what it shows you is that the new program, if we had the same tonnage as 2018, would be about $20-some thousand more per year, due primarily to the cost of recycling. Recycling's gone way up. It's more expensive than trash. And that's throughout the industry, so.
And last year, that's why we bumped up our solid waste by like $20,000 because the recycling tipping fees had gone up last year too, so.
And what's going on with the composting state, all that nonsense?
Well, it's gonna be mandatory for everyone starting this July.
So that's going to change these.
No, this includes the composting. They don't have to collect it curbside. But their proposal continues the 2 dumpsters at the highway garage.
And those are still gonna be accepted after this is implemented in July?
Those dumpsters are in a gray area that's considered a pilot by the state.
Correct.
So it's possible they could say that we can't continue that.
At which point this would change.
Yes, then that item, it says hauling fees, 4 yards food, the third column from the right. That cost is projected to be about $7,000. That would go away.
But then what would happen with the mandated compost?
There's no obligation for a town to provide composting services. So it's one of those state mandates that
That means nothing.
doesn't really work, you know. At Wyndham Solid Waste, who I'm representing tonight, we have a compost program. And so there are places people can bring it at no charge to our transfer station. Just
So
like-
this number won't go up, it could only stand to go down to
It could-
6720.
Well, it could go up if there was more.
Well, correct.
No,
but-
this number is their bid. This is their bid for 3 years or 5 years? There's an
3
annual
years, it's
increase.
3 years
All right,
for the
but
bids.
there's an
yeah.
annual increase in their bid, but.
But with the exception of that, the only other change would be that 6720 could potentially
Yeah.
come out of there.
It could come out.
All right.
But, so, anyway, you have, the other part of this, from the solid waste committee's perspective was, we could have to have a pay-as-you-throw program that covers the costs of the trash portion. And that, I don't know where that stands as far as adjusting the bag price, and I have not been involved with trying to set a new rate.
That was something that the select board tasked the solid waste committee to do. Now that the solid waste committee doesn't exist, that becomes a task of the select.
Which you would have had to approve it anyways.
Correct.
So it falls right back on your.
Yes, sir.
As Josh once said, my eyes glaze over when I start talking pay-as-you-throw. So it is kind of complicated. So I dug up, and Michelle has a copy from 5 years ago, the solid waste committee actually drafted a contract with Triple T. And Peter Gaskell from Triple T came to a number of meetings. Heather Frost was on the committee then, Mike, but it never went anywhere as far as the town signing the contract, so. And it's possible that you could just continue as you are now and not have a written contract.
So this was gonna be put out at town meeting to discuss whether we were gonna continue the pay-as-you-throw? Is that where we left this?
Correct, but for purposes of budgeting, we gotta kind of,
No, I get that. I'm
Yeah.
just curious if we could invite Bob to speak on behalf of this at town meeting, since he's the only one that knows the numbers in and out.
absolutely.
I don't know the pay-as-you-throw numbers. I mean, I don't know.
But as far as the breakdown of these
Oh, as far as
numbers,
the-
I mean,
the
the
bid,
pay-as-you-throw, we can get that figured out.
Yeah.
So the pay-as-you-throw numbers, if you chose to delve into that at all, Cindy obviously holds the key to those.
Well, the pay-as-you-throw would be the disposal and haul, pretty much on here, right?
Yes.
And then the recycling, though, that's tax dollars for the curbside collection.
So we'd have to take, if we had the same amount of trash as 2018, and the disposal and hauling cost in the first column at the bottom was $56,720, based on the new prices. In theory, the pay-as-you-throw per bag cost should cover that, if enough people buy the bags.
Sure.
This is becoming more of an issue as people, as they recycle more and they generate less trash. So it's kind of there's a inherent flaw in pay-as-you-throw, that the more you recycle, the less you generate revenue from trash, from selling bags, so.
This is the song that never ends.
Yes, so the town, and I didn't share this with Michelle, but I've been compiling a summary of what all the towns in Wyndham Solid Waste, we have 19 towns, do for trash services. And there's about 5 different approaches. 3 of them, Vernon, Brattleboro, and Westminster, have the curbside collection. There's about 6 that have transfer stations, no, 8 that have transfer stations, like Jamaica and Reedsboro, and those were the hill towns that were too far from the Brattleboro landfill traditionally. There's a number of towns that do nothing, like Guilford and Putney, and quite a few towns that just have no service. They just say, hey, you're on your own, resident. You can buy stickers, you can drive to Triple T, you can hire a hauler. And then there's 3 towns that still have the recycling boxes like we had here, but they're not at a transfer station. They're just like at the highway garage, and they have a private hauler collecting those. So if the town wanted to offer recycling boxes, the district would loan you boxes, and then you would hire another company to haul them away.
So you're talking about like the metal bins that used to be at the town.
But I'm saying, so Brookline, Marlboro, and Halifax continue those boxes, but it's expensive.
Do those have to be manned?
No.
When they're open, they don't? Okay.
Yeah, they're 24/7,
Okay.
just like Fairground Road was and Vernon
Okay.
Highway. But it's cost Brookline, Little Brookline of what? 700 or 800 people, I don't know what it is, over $12,000. Putney got quotes. I met with the Putney Select Board 2 weeks ago, and it would be $40,000 just to do recycling, because Putney was an avid recycling town.
The bins, you mean, having the bins?
And,
Different
well, we
locations?
lent the bins out, we had
Yeah.
100 and some bins, we just said, here towns, anyone who wants them, because we own them, but
Right.
no charge. So that saves the towns the rental cost, because if you didn't have them, there would be a monthly fee. So you have a number of options.
I like how Guilford does it.
I think that's, a lot of us are in that boat at this point with that particular program.
Yep.
I imagine this would be a legal question for our attorney, is you could probably negotiate a contract with Triple T, but I don't know how close it would have to match their bid. Because, the numbers changed versus what their charges now. They went up.
Well, there's multiple issues that we have to deal with this, because if we decide at town meeting, or if the town decides at town meeting that we are no longer gonna offer curbside pickup, this contract is, doesn't mean much at that point.
Well, right now, that's not what they're deciding. They're just deciding if they're gonna continue
Continue
pay
pay
as
as
you
you throw,
throw.
that's what I mean.
So curbside would still be happening with recyclables.
Yeah, with recycle only, not in the trash.
Right.
But this contract is encompassing both.
You could offer just curbside recycling and not offer trash.
I thought we had discussed that we were gonna see what the difference was between the two at the last meeting.
But it's actually
That's
shown
what
here.
it is, that's what this
Yeah,
is.
it's got.
So that's why we wrote the RFP to
But
show different options. It's like, we could select some of these services, but you can't
But they
just
would
offer
still
trash.
continue to do it if that was the only service that we wanted to keep with them, I guess was my question.
We
Is
did
that-
put that in the RFP that we reserved
pick-
the right to pick and choose what we wanted to do. So if you look at Triple T's
Yeah.
bid, it does have, just the residential recycling and just the residential trash. So it's portioned out, so you can, à la carte it.
A la carte, yes. But you can't, under state law, offer curbside trash, but no recycling,
But you can do recycling, but
but
no
no
trash.
trash. But I don't know any towns that do that.
Yeah,
Other than the ones that hold the bins.
the bins.
Yes, right, but as far as residential curbside pickup. And actually, the towns have no obligation to offer any service, whether it's composting or, as a matter of fact, the solid waste districts don't even have to, we wouldn't have to have our compost facility.
So where would, to be in compliance with state law, would people compost if they didn't have animals?
What is,
Where would they, what would they do with their compost?
backyard bins, backyard composting, that's the state's answer.
If you don't have a backyard,
A lot of people don't have
state,
a
not
space.
figure that out.
If they're in an apartment or,
Yeah.
Don't give me any ideas there, right?
yeah.
And the
Throw it in the
Over the
trash.
fence it
bins can
goes.
take a lot more stuff than you would put in your backyard, just
Put the
composting.
dead cat.
I mean, one thing that Vernon has is it's meeting the state's recycling goals ahead of schedule. I mean, maybe it's very expensive, but Vernon is leading and Brattleboro are leading the state because they have comprehensive solid waste recycling and composting programs.
But they still don't know where we are.
But it's expensive.
Sure they do, just say be well.
So anyways, this was just, gives you the tools to decide if you want to continue with a contract with Triple T. And I'm not making a recommendation here, I'm
Sure.
just presenting this information.
Chris, I guess we'll start with you. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts haven't really changed as far as what I think we should be doing here.
Okay. Jeff? Same?
So this was a 3-year contract, or are we not on contract, or?
We are not currently.
Currently.
Mhm. So the decision is do we want to go under contract?
No.
Sandy?
I agree with Jeff.
Gene?
No.
So I guess this kind of blossoms into a bigger discussion when we get to town meeting and we're talking about specifically the one article that we put out as pay-as-you-throw. Is the recommendation from the select board going to be to eliminate all trash and recycle pickup? And
Well, that would be 2 separate questions on there though, wouldn't it?
correct.
Yeah, you could make it one. Do you want to eliminate curbside pickup? If somebody wants to buy it, then there's no reason to buy the bag.
But can we, aren't those 2 separate things completely as far as funding and all of that on there? Can
Well,
that be
the
one?
bags are supposed to fund themselves.
If you
So
want
they're not
trash,
they're not funded by anything. The
Yeah.
only thing that we had added to the article was if they do vote to continue it, and I'm talking to Larry about this, there should probably be a provision somewhere of when it runs in the red, where are we gonna pull that money from? So, cause you could come up with a scenario that a year from now, you have 2 people on pay-as-you-throw buying bags. So now you're literally making $20 a month from pay-as-you-throw. You're still paying all of the hauling fee, because that doesn't change. The town's the same size. So in that event, where's that money gonna come from? Because now you have to schedule another town meeting to get rid of, to change it, because it's gone to town meeting. It makes me nervous to put pay-as-you-throw on town meeting for that reason. But you're gonna wanna put a line item somewhere.
I think you know that if you have curbside trash, it has to be pay-as-you-throw.
Right.
So it
By
isn't
itself.
an option that you want pay-as-you-throw or not. No, if you have curbside, or even a transfer station, any place there's a disposal site, it has to be based on the volume, the price on the volume of what you get rid of.
But you can't pay it with taxpayer money.
No.
Just the trash side.
Well, no, the town could subsidize,
The pay-as-you-throw,
yes.
How?
we were under the impression that pay-as-you-throw was required to pay for itself. Yeah, that's what we were reading, that it's required to pay for itself and the hauling fees.
I think, I'm not sure of that.
I think that was, I had pulled out something because Peter was asking about it, remember, a
Yeah,
couple of
it
meetings
was
ago.
it was
and
a question that Triple T had, and I disagreed with him at the time, and we went back and looked at the legislation, and
Yeah.
I was right to disagree with him.
Okay.
That
The
pay-as-you-throw
pay-as-you-
has to be self-sustaining.
The pay-as-you-throw can subsidize the recycling side of it, but not the other way around.
I think the question should just be if we wanna get rid of the pay-as-you-throw and leave the recycling alone. It seems to be that more and more people are recycling. And I don't think that that's going to do anything good for us to get rid of that one.
Well, we can't get rid of recycling. Well, we could curbside recycling.
Yeah, well, we can get rid of everything and not offer any service at all, legally.
There are plenty of options for people if the town did not have any program. They can go to Triple T up the road. They can go to Wyndham Solid Waste.
Does Triple T sell stickers the same way that you guys do?
No, but they charge a gate fee
Okay.
every time you go there. I think it's $25 to go in.
I don't know, never been there.
But, so it's not like the town residents wouldn't have good options.
Well, besides that, you have individual haulers as well that you can contract with as a resident.
And if the bins went back for recycling at the highway garage, that,
You'd have
It's
to
a
hire
way
someone to
difference.
call them and take them somewhere.
And that's a fairly significant cost from what
Yes.
you're saying.
but this was, I mean, hauling every week has got, it just seems like it shouldn't cost as much as the weekly hauling, you know?
Yeah.
I think it would be less, but
We don't really know that, though.
depends how much they're used.
Yeah.
They,
Well, you're saying Putney is spending, what did you say, 48,000 a year about for that?
no, they
That
didn't,
system?
they just got a quote on it.
And you said it was about 48? And that was from, do you know what their tonnage is? Just off the top of your head? Because their population is about 50% higher than Vernon's, if that gives you any.
Yeah, they're about
Oh,
3,000.
okay.
Because you said Brookline was what, 8?
I forget.
Somewhere
I'd have to
thereabouts.
look at it.
So we'd probably fall somewhere around 25 to 28, I would guess, with
So
bins if we're hauling.
what I do have, and I didn't do this for today, but I have the tons of recyclables that Vernon generated right up until June of 2017, when we closed the processing plant. So that's the best numbers we'd have, and we could say, okay, assuming we have that same amount of usage, you could then get quotes from haulers to just service those boxes.
But that's before pay-as-you-throw, right? And our recycling went way up once pay-as-you-throw went in, so those
Yeah.
are, yeah,
I'm just
a
saying
little
it's-
squishy, you know.
So who hauls for like Brookline? Who is it that's?
Triple T.
All the garbage
All right.
goes to the same place.
Yeah.
Garbage and recycling.
Yeah, so.
But there are other haulers that would probably bid on that. There's a Casella company that ended up with most of the town transfer stations, and those boxes are picked up by that company, and it's less than the Triple T costs.
They're in Bennington, right?
Yeah. So I'm available and willing to help the town evaluate these other options through my work at Wyndham Southways, so.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bob. for all
No,
of
you're welcome.
This is very invaluable.
Michelle did a nice job, we worked together on it, and
Yeah.
we got it out, and got bids, and
Bob was a huge help. He was a really huge help.
it was pretty complicated,
Yeah.
but, so.
It
And I'd be
would
glad to-
actually, remember, be a little more than this, because I don't think we included the rec and the fire department, right? The recreation dumpsters.
Are they in this bid?
I don't know, because that's what we were getting called on, and just to keep it even
Yeah.
out for anybody.
I think it was. Didn't it say municipal on it?
For municipal.
But the municipal included the rec department, oh, it didn't?
No, it does include the school.
It does include the school, all right.
Yes,
But
but
it's
not
not,
parks.
it's not a huge additional,
I wouldn't think so.
no, it's seasonal,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. So do we need to make any changes to our article based on a conversation tonight? Nobody's interested in signing in a contract currently because we don't know what the town wants to do until town meeting with curbside and recycling and all that stuff.
I mean, you have a handshake arrangement with Triple T. They've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
Doing very well.
And I think most everyone agrees they provide a very good service.
So with what we budgeted, we'll be okay with our current handshake agreement. And then from town meeting, we can
Whatever
decide
we
whether we want to
decide.
move forward with the
No, we won't,
contract.
because we haven't done, that's the only article that we haven't done yet. Last year, we did $63,000 for the solid waste fund. Well, I'm looking at an estimate of 91,000 right here. And unfortunately, we jumped that about 20,000, 18, 20,000 last year.
As a
So this is a
contingency,
big
we-
bite. That's, so that's probably the number you might wanna discuss, is what do you want that article? And then, cause that was, I was gonna wait to get here and then so I can ship it off to legal. Or all of your articles, that's the last one.
I would guess we would, I mean,
We have to put that amount in anyway. Plus what we didn't put in last year.
well, I mean, we got two different options. We can put in this estimate at 91, or we can put in the article to defund everything and just shut it all down.
Yes, but you have to have something in the budget
Yeah.
to fund it,
Yep.
just in case that one doesn't pass.
Yeah,
And that was really the purpose of this from the solid waste committee. Let's get some numbers so we can put a good
Right,
yeah.
estimate for our own town budget.
right.
And I think, and Bob and I were talking, because the recycling went up last year and it's gone up again. I would have a buffer, I'd make that 100,000, because if they get rid of pay as you throw and people do start recycling more,
It's gonna
this
cost
number
us more.
could even go up even higher, so you, I mean, it's, the recycling costs are just climbing so fast.
Just so you know, at Wyndham Solid Waste, our transfer station, we have recycling bins and we have trash, and it's costing us, and we go through Triple T. I have a contract, we bid it, I've had different companies over the last 9 years. We're spending $180 a ton for recycling. Trash is $102 a ton.
And what were you spending 2 years ago on recycling?
There were times we were getting paid.
It's-
The market is totally upside
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Because these were commodities, and paper and cardboard and different plastics had value.
Wait a minute, so it's cheaper just to throw it in the trash than it is to recycle?
It is,
Okay,
but it's not an option in Vermont.
well, if you have your own dumpster, it is.
You know, of course. But, so we're,
Okay, so, with the upcoming article, that we need to decide on, and so last article, right? Before you can send it
I
to
mean,
Larry.
except for the marsh fund and,
Yeah.
and those sort of things.
how does the
Yeah,
article
this
read
is-
now, Michelle?
$63,000 to fund the solid waste.
So will the town vote to appropriate $60,000 to fund the solid waste program?
That's what it read last year.
Right, okay, same thing.
Right.
So we should at least put up to 100.
That
Because you've
would
gotta
be
make
our
up
suggestion.
almost 30,000 that we didn't do last year.
What's that?
Because last year, it cost, the estimate was 91,000, almost 91,500.
This is with the new numbers, but that
Yeah.
Bob did this with the new numbers.
This is on the
This
bid
is
that
last
we
year's
got. So this-
tonnage.
So this is,
Based on
these are pretty
the
good numbers
numbers.
about what you would spend in 2020.
Okay, I thought this was last year.
It's the best we can do.
Okay.
So is everybody in agreement with that $100,000 number for the sake of the article?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I will do that.
Yikes.
And then what will there be how will a decision be made about whether or not to even continue curbside
Have a
trash and
separate
recycling?
article.
It will be a separate article.
So that's another article that has.
Do you want me to add recycling to that article?
Yes.
Or,
I don't
I don't know.
know, I think those need to stay separate. No, I think
Just for
they do.
cleanliness. It'll get very confusing if you don't have things.
so we'll keep the administer pay as you throw, and then, do you want, I'll figure out how to word the article, to put in curbside recycling or curbside trash and recycling in a separate article? Or we could do 3 articles.
But the pay-as-you-throw is curbside.
It is.
Trash.
Right.
So then now then another one that's recycling.
Well, the first one is for the town to administer the pay-as-you-throw program.
Oh,
So do you want to put, should the town eliminate or continue curbside recycling?
I would think we'd do that one first, because if they eliminate the curbside trash, then you don't need that. Then the next one would be,
Well, they could still keep curbside recycling.
yeah.
So do you want to make those two separate articles, recycling and trash?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So then the voters could decide to just have curbside recycling.
And that's what the $100,000 is for, would just be the recycling?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I know, and you're right, Jean, I don't think that we're gonna need the curbside trash pickup and the pay-as-you-throw, but we may. So I'll ask Larry.
The town has clearly benefited from this bundled services from Triple T.
Yes.
And now that we ask them to break down prices, they have to price it as if they did not have a package. It would be à la carte. All right.
Anything else on that one? Okay, thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the time and effort.
Yep.
Thank you.
Request from the Girl Scouts to set up a booth on Election Day.
Mr. Chair, I move to allow the Girl Scouts to set up a booth like they have years past on Election Day here in the basement.
Second.
Moved and seconded to allow the Girl Scouts to set up a booth on Election Day. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Chris, are you gonna get back in touch with them?
Yeah.
Because I got that through you.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, Communications Union District. This is the broadband discussion.
So did everybody get a chance to read Sarah Poppy's email? Okay. So that pretty much lays it out for you. I did give you all another email talking about the first meeting. So just, I just laid a copy of it in the paperwork from this evening.
So as Brian pointed out at the beginning of the meeting, we've walked down this road before. Had a committee that spent a lot of time and energy in seeing the viability of bringing it here. And even as Sarah Coffey mentioned, we are covered fairly well by Comcast, monopoly or not, as far as our internet service goes. And I think that's, when was it? Probably 2 or 3 years ago, the select board decided not to go forward with bringing broadband in because of that fact, with Browner's committee at the time. So I guess we have the same question arise again a couple of years later, and see if it's something that, you know, we would like to explore or be part of exploring for Vernon, or whether we're happy with the service that we have currently.
Well, and that was kind of the way that Sarah had explained it the other day when we were speaking, that we're not making a decision.
Yeah.
We're just saying that we'd kind of like to sit at the table and hear what's going on, so.
Right.
I don't see any harm in somebody sitting at that table.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about
Like
multiple
Bronna, I
kind
mean,
of-
I just heard her volunteer. She
Yeah.
said she would be
Heard the
right
sound of
there.
Bronna volunteering, yes.
So are we in agreement we want to at least sit at the table and hear the discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
You need to for the town.
So who would we like to appoint to be the point of contact for that discussion? And I would suggest Bronna, just because of her history and understanding of this particular issue, if Bronna would be so kind to accept that.
No pressure, though. We're all staring.
You're just on TV, don't worry about it.
For me, thank you. I would accept, however, I would say Munson Hicks has, I feel like I'm a civilian compared to people like Munson.
Sure.
So I would give him right of first refusal, and if he says no, I would be glad to serve.
How about, to make it easier on both of you, is just a suggestion, how about you guys tag team it? There's
Perfectly
nothing that
fine.
says that we can't have 2 representatives attend these meetings. So that way, if Munson's unable to attend, you're not able to attend or fulfill a commitment, that you guys have a backup.
Perfectly fine with me.
Okay.
I hope it's all right with him.
Yeah.
Well,
So
he's not here, so.
I guess for tonight, if you're okay with it, we'll appoint you and then we'll reach out to Munson and appoint him as well to
Good.
be the point of contact, the two of you together. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome, thank you. So I will entertain a motion to have Brun as our lead of communications
Will you reach out
union
to
district.
Munson?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to appoint Brana Zlockever as our point of contact for the Communications Union District. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So if you can you reach out to Munson and see if that's something that he wants to do with you? And
Yeah.
just let us know?
Yeah.
Shoot me an email or shoot Michelle an email, one way or the other.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Your guys' experience and knowledge will be invaluable to that committee, I'm sure. Mileage certificate.
Oh, here, let me get.
That's the next meeting.
Oh. It's only has space for 3 signatures. So, I emailed Dave and there's no changes. And first refusal.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve and sign the certificate of highway mileage for the year ending February 10th, 2020.
Second.
That's weird, it's 2020.
Oh, is that what it says?
Yeah.
It must be a typo. I just got it the other day, so.
For the year ending 2021.
Yeah, we're done. In a month. Okay. Moved and seconded to sign the certificate of highway mileage for the year in 2021.
It is 2020, it's a certificate as of this year,
This current year.
this current year.
Before.
So it will be 2020.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry.
Yep.
My fault.
So the year ending 2020. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We need 2 more signatures. So the solid waste article, we kind of got ahead of ourselves, and do we have everything squared away on that? Okay.
Yep.
We
We all agree on 100,000, right?
Yes.
That's kind of got.
Yep.
You have to come through and approve the whole ordinance.
Yep.
Okay, policy to bill for emergency services discussion.
Mr. Chair, if you're all right with that, I would invite the fire chief up. He has some information that he has gathered.
Absolutely, coming up.
Gave you plenty of time.
Yeah. Most of what I have is information from when Dave Andrews tried to push the ordinance for billing through, and so there's something we can take from here. I did speak with Tom Goddard about pricing for certain apparatus. He charges for full-size apparatus, which would be engine, tanker, $200 per hour.
And Tom Goddard is
Putney.
Putney, okay.
You said 200?
200, yeah. And then for smaller apparatus, 75, which I would assume would be brush truck, rescue. And then they have an ATV, which is $40 an hour. And $30 for personnel per hour.
Okay.
You said 30?
How much is personnel?
30. And that's the only one I've actually got any information from as far as for pricing, for stuff like that.
Okay.
I've only got one copy because I just got it tonight, but Dave Andrews, when he was doing this, he went and did article definitions, which cover anything from alarm activations to non-permitted burns. And stuff with it, and just basically breakdowns of everything. And my understanding is the town treasurer would be doing,
It's undecided.
or, okay, so I guess that's pretty much what information I have, other than what we could steal from here.
Did Dave write up a policy, like a?
Well, yeah, he did, he named it Vernon Fire Department Service Reimbursement Ordinance.
Okay.
Do you happen to have that electronically?
I don't, I could pass this along and
Okay.
make copies of it. I mean, I know, obviously, we're not making any decisions tonight.
Yeah, it'd just be good to have that as a basis as we're reading through it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's some stuff in here that, like, for the billing purpose, that we wouldn't use, because I don't really think that I can do the billing.
You don't want to do the billing? Don't blame you.
But yeah, certainly I can pass this along.
Yep.
And then make copies of it, and then, I don't know if Chris wants to meet with me or whatever, me and Keith, and we can kind of go through, throw out what we don't want, save what we want.
Sounds like a plan to me.
When do you want to do that?
I'm pretty much open except for Wednesdays, so.
All right. It'll have to be sometime next week.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. So,
We've got more copies at the house.
yeah, we'll just spin off copies of this,
Okay.
so.
So we want to throw that in these guys' court and talk about it down the road? Is that where we're at?
Go do that.
Is that-
Yeah, I'm still curious what, now you said you had spoken to Tom as, Beth, right?
Beth, yeah,
So,
threw me over at Beth. They do it much like Guilford does, whereas they'll go for billing insurance. They don't do medical in Putney. But she's the treasurer of the fire department, so she handles all of that billing herself. They said that they don't go chasing down people who can't pay for it or anything, but she was talking more about the structure of it, and that's how they do it. But we don't have the fire department doesn't really have a treasurer. Take that role.
no, I don't think, which we had discussed at the last meeting, but, so I guess the first place to start would be to have you look this over and compare it to the other things that you had seen or the other information,
Okay,
and
if you want.
then we can certainly take it from there, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't matter, I mean, it's all, a lot of it's just, I mean, pretty much, you know, the following types of occurrences and incidents within the primary coverage area of Vernon Fire Department are eligible for reimbursement per this ordinance. Malicious incidents, nuisance incidents, motor vehicle accidents, hazardous materials, non-permitted burns that get out of control, wildland fires caused by negligence, special events, technical rescue. And a lot of it is, it's pretty much here, we can just mold it, you know? But like the technical stuff, like the billing aspect, like I forwarded you Guilford's billing form.
Yep.
You know, so we just have to.
Which I think I sent that over to you as well, the one from
A form?
the way that Guilford bills.
Yeah.
I believe I forwarded you that email.
I think you do.
Okay.
So I mean, it's just, realistically, it's the money per hour of apparatus personnel. Do you want to charge higher for a piece of apparatus versus $30 an hour for personnel? It's just that stuff that, I mean, maybe we can get a copy of what Putney and Guilford do for, you know, their ordinance or their
I
billing
asked,
stuff.
I asked for, they don't have, Putney doesn't have like a written policy because the fire department does it through the fire department, so it's not like a town.
Well, I'll connect
Okay.
with Tom Goddard and give much more information than I can from him on this.
That right there sounds like a great start, because it sounds similar to everything that I've seen. So it's
Okay.
really a matter of deciding
All right.
who's gonna be responsible for billing, if, you know, what your protocol is. Are you gonna bill if they don't have insurance, that kind of thing you need to decide, and what you are actually gonna bill for, you know, and how that works.
So yeah,
So
We'll set
those are
something
really
up
big.
Yeah.
next week or so. When is our next meeting? What's the date on that?
21st.
That is not gonna help me at all.
No, it is not. That's
21st.
It's the
calendar.
The picture is fair,
21st,
though.
right.
Do we want to look at the first meeting in February, or do we want to put it on the end of this month? What do we want to do?
Up to you guys. If you think you can have it done for the next meeting, let's do it. But if you need the extra time, let's do the first meeting in February.
Sounds like you got most of it. We're just gonna make some edits.
Yeah.
If you can do it in 2 weeks, let's do it. And if
Yeah,
not,
let's do that. Let's set something up sometime next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll put it on the agenda for the 21st to continue the discussion with more better information.
More better.
More better information. Okay. Travel reimbursement policy, we made some changes to it. We got notes back from the town attorney regarding portions of it.
I agree with you.
And it was really just that one thing that.
Yeah, that was it.
So,
So striking C out of that travel reimbursement policy, I would accept a motion to,
EC,
EC.
Yes.
yeah, sorry, EC, yeah. Motion to accept the new travel reimbursement policy, striking EC.
second?
I'm
Oh, I
accepting
thought-
motions,
oh,
I'm sorry.
So moved then. How's that?
That's perfect. Now I need a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the travel reimbursement policy, striking letter E, letter C. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay.
can you make another motion, please?
Sure.
That this will become part of the personnel policy, that's where this is, it resides, that
Sure.
it's not a standalone policy.
Okay. All in.
Yes, make another motion to put that, that it's going to
I'm-
be a part of the personnel policy.
I move that the new travel reimbursement policy become part of the employee
Personnel policy.
policies.
Yep.
Second.
Okay.
So moved and seconded to accept the new travel reimbursement policy into the personnel policy. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, very good. Do you have a question, Bronna?
As chair of the library board, I will see that we also vote on this. Isn't that what I have to do?
You can.
You guys have to, yeah, you guys make your own policy in that respect,
But some of it most of it we also go along with the towns.
Sure,
So
if you want to
we will
integrate
have that
the policy,
discussion.
you are more than welcome to do so.
We will have
Can-
that discussion at some point.
Yeah, you can get a copy of it from excuse me, sorry,
Thank
from
you.
Michelle,
Thank you.
and so you guys can have it all written out. Ordinance enforcement, appoint enforcement officers, so we talked about it. We're reaching out to everybody that was on that list that we pared down, and so who do we have left?
We have heard from Jesse Joven, the animal control officer, JJ Wielden, fire marshal, Todd Capon, fire chief, and Keith Franklin Jr., the assistant fire chief. As of right now, those are the only people that have told me, yes, we want to do it. Mark Snow has not said yes or no yet. He's the last
Dave
one I
Walker
really-
said no, right?
He said no.
Okay.
There's four, Jesse, JJ, Todd, and Keith, right?
Yes.
All right. So do we want to appoint those four officials, or do we want to wait to get down through the list? It's up to you guys.
I think we ought to table it and wait.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm done with that. Public participation on non-agenda items only. That's you.
Okey dokey. Do you want me to come up to the microphone to speak or here?
You can stand right there.
Okay, great. So I have some general questions about, what is required to be a select board member?
You have to be 18 years old.
Okay.
Resident of Vernon.
Okay, and you have to be I'm sorry,
Resident of Vernon.
resident of Vernon. To be a resident of Vernon, what does that mean exactly?
You reside here,
You'd be able
Okay.
to vote here.
you vote here.
So you vote here and you reside here. So residing is sleeping in Vernon. Okay. So it wouldn't just mean paying taxes or bills in Vernon, but you actually have to sleep in the town of Vernon as one of the main requirements to be on the select board.
I believe so.
Okay, just checking. So if you even have a mortgage in Vernon, but you don't live in Vernon, doesn't count. Okay. So if a select board member is currently on the board who doesn't live in Vernon, what would happen?
It may be, it just, but was living in Vernon when they were elected?
Yes.
Well, if they just like went to Brattleboro while their new house is being built, so they plan to return, it might be something like a voter.
Okay.
You know, like if you go away to school and
So
you're
it'd
gonna
be a
come back.
temporary dwelling while something else is happening, but the
Yeah.
intent is to come back to their property in Vernon.
I would think so, but I would
Okay.
check that.
Okay,
before
so you would check
I
it.
Do it.
So, and if that's not the case, what would happen?
They would probably recuse themselves.
They would recuse themselves because that would be the right thing to do?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, I guess that would be my last question that I have for the select board on this. On this particular issue. Yes, I did want to follow up, however, with some questions that I have that happened during the executive session at the last meeting. So I don't know how you would like me to proceed with that part.
Probably. What do you think?
If there are questions regarding the executive session that we had, then we need to go back into
We could go back
executive
into
session.
executive session.
Okay,
Do you want to do that tonight?
sure.
You want to
Sure,
do
while
that
I'm
tonight?
here.
I don't care.
Okay. Now I have to write this and say it too.
Okay, with that.
Point me, point and I'll read.
Okay.
Just point and I'll do it.
I think this would be this one here,
Okay. So, this is just a one.
just a one.
Okay, so I move that we go into executive session
With
with
Melissa.
Melissa Allen and the town administrator? Or
Yeah, sure.
for discussion or consideration of records or documents accepted from the Access to Public Records Law, 1
Okay.
VSA 313A6.
Because I think that's what you were talking about, where you weren't sure if they were exempted or not.
I just want to see what's being done by the select board based on what we talked about last. That's really where I'm going. So
Oh.
I don't know what you call that.
Well, it still
just being
pertains to
taken care of.
records and documents.
Okay.
Yeah, it pertains to records and documents, so,
Okay.
okay. Give
Okay.
me a second, give me a second.
Second, sorry.
So moved and seconded to go into executive session. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Okay.
We are in executive session at 8:31 PM. Okay. We went into executive session at 8:31, out at 8:44, no action was taken. Correspondence and town admin report, please.
You pretty much have all the correspondence, and we pretty much discussed everything that I've been working on the last 2 weeks. I'm in the middle of annual reports and town meeting stuff, so I won't sleep with that.
Okay. Upcoming select board meeting on January 20th first, meeting on February 4th, and local government day is a possible training on February 13th. You can register at vlct.org. We are adjourned.
When's it?
That's on the 13th.